Okay, we do have more questions. The next one is for Helicopterodactyl.
What is that?
That's a username.
A mix of a helicopter and a pterodactyl.
Mm-hmm. So the question says, we're married, we're in our 30s, we're on step 8 of the FOO, and we have a 33.3% savings rate, very exact. And we are about to take a vacation for more than 50% of my first job's annual salary.
Yeah.
When did Brian and Bo first think, I've made it? What do you think about this? Because obviously he sounds pretty floored at the amount of money that he's just spending, but it also sounds like he's earned it. So do you have any thoughts on this mindset shift and reaching this phase of, actually getting to the payoff part of wealth building?
Yeah, it's really interesting because I think we all can remember early on in our careers or just starting out, and maybe some of you are still there. You're in that place right now, and you just think about the things like, oh man, you know what? I really want guacamole on my burrito, but it's not worth $2.58, right? I'm just not gonna do that thing. And then life continues to move, and then lifestyle creep happens, but not necessarily in the bad way, because we hold the position that there is negative lifestyle creep and then there is positive lifestyle creep. And lifestyle creep in and of itself is not a bad thing. So when I hear Helicopterodactyl say, man, we're about to go on a vacation and I'm going to spend 50% of what I made my first year in the workforce, I think that sounds awesome. I don't think that sounds horrible at all, because you told me I'm on step 8. I've been following the financial order of operations. I'm saving 33.3% of my gross income, and I'm in my 30s. That means I've been doing this for a while. So now I'm beginning to see my army of dollar bills grow. Perhaps I've reached that boiling point. Perhaps my portfolio is now at the escape velocity standpoint where it's okay for me to increase my lifestyle to some extent. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
No, but I wanted to put a few things in here.
Debbie Downer right here.
No, not at all. But I think it's like most things with success is additional accountability and sometimes even more work.
Sure.
So I put down, the first thing I wrote was do the work. Meaning that I love that, and I'm not adding on the pterodactyl part. I'm just saying, calling him helicopter. But helicopter, do the work. Because truthfully, y'all heard I don't speak English that well, so I think I'd blow it up.
You're good.
But do the Know Your Number course. So at least do the research to see, because here's the only cold water I have on this, because everything that you laid out, that's why I was whooping it up, is that you're crushing it. But you are 30 years old. It's still young enough that I don't know how long you've been saving at this high savings rate that you still could be really close to the starting line versus building up the critical mass of getting to your first 6 figures, to getting to closer to $1 million. There is a process. So I don't know how close to the starting line you are. So do the work, know your number. But then once you do that and you find out, I am way ahead of the curve. And based upon everything you laid out being at step 8, 33% savings rate, you're doing great. Then be purposeful on how you spend your time and what how you create blossoming memories. And I'm okay. If you've done the homework and you've put in the hard work of knowing your number and knowing where you are from an analytical standpoint, go out there and have a great vacation. I mean, it is one of those things where I remember when I'll be honest and transparent, I didn't get to do some of these things you're talking about, not at 30. It was more like mid 40s. It was 42 to 45 is when I actually started feeling like I had reached a level of comfort. But I used that when I hit that point to be very sentimental about it, to be purposeful, to be thankful, to make sure that I was paying it forward, but also not letting moments escape me, where I was very sentimental to what this meant for me, my family. So I think if you come at it from those healthy perspectives, you're going to be in a great place, and keep crushing it. And I'll keep whooping it up for you.
Let me ask you a question, Brian, because the very tail end of this question said, when did Brian and Bo first think I've made it? I know for me personally, I try to, and I don't think it's going to sound bad, I try to purposely fight the thought of, okay, I've made it. I mean, objectively, certainly there are some metrics that you can measure where things end up in a really good spot. But even now, even at this stage of my life, I still try to implement forced scarcity. I still try to think about, okay, if whatever's happening in my life, how can I make sure that things don't feel so comfortable so that I know I'm continuing to do the things that I'm supposed to be doing, that I'm continuing to build. And so I try, at least at this stage, to not say, oh, I've made it, because I think there is value in having a goal or having something that you are continuing to work for rather than feeling so comfortable, unless you truly are at the financial independence point, and financial independence for you means something like living off of my assets and not having to work anymore, not having to create income anymore. Anything that you would add to that?
I mean, this is probably not directly on point with what I'll try it. Helicopter Dactyl was asking, but I have found that it's one of those things where I used to, I think all achievers, anybody who's just hard driven to be successful, you set goal points for yourself. Mm-hmm. And then I remember I read that book, and I'm going to mess this up. Maybe you can, because I know we talked about it. The Simon Sinek book on Eternal Game, or
the Eternity Game.
The Eternity Game, or something like that. Because and there was a good point in the book, in the fact that a lot of us successful people, we set goals, and I see this when people do it on finances, is that, man, if I could just get to $3 million, I'll get to $5 million. I don't care, 10 to whatever your number is. That is going to have an end point that's going to probably feel more empty than you realize.
Infinite game.
Infinite game. There it is. What I have recognized for myself is that as I've had more successes, and this is kind of getting into that abundance level on the 5 levels of wealth, is I wanted to know who I was, what I valued, and kind of what gave me purpose. Mm-hmm. And for me, it went beyond the finances, and now it's what can we build, who can we impact, and am I making the world a little bit better place? Mm-hmm. So I've quit putting goal points which are financially goal points, that because I think I've already reached the financial independence stage. But I've now tried to think about it more of where I want to be and what is a life well lived. Mm-hmm. And that's why we've had conversations like, not selling the company and other things, because I'm very deliberate on what I think the impact we're doing and who it's reaching. And I think that's just that's why it kind of leans into and touches on that, be sentimental and be deliberate with why you're here on the planet, and be the best version of that.
Love it.